Welcome to the August 2024 Greenwood County Democratic Party breakfast meeting. I am absolutely impressed by the turnout today, and I'd like to think it was all because of me, but I know that is not the case. We are in exciting times, but before we begin, I would like for everybody to rise. If I could have Alan Moore come to the stage, please. Alan will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, everybody. Here at the Greenwood chapter, as we do the Pledge of Allegiance, we know that the last two words we put emphasis on, right? Correct? So together. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Alan Moore. I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran. I'm also working with Bill and Jamil on their campaigns, and you'll be hearing more from me, okay? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alan. Also, before we begin, if we could have a couple of moments of silence to remember those among us that have fallen by the wayside over the past year, and also to take a moment to give some blessings for the things that are going well in our lives, and especially in the Democratic Party these past 2 weeks. So let's take a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. All right, so welcome. First, Ms. Childs, where are you? I know I saw you earlier. Would you raise your hand? Would you lead us in your chant, please, in our chant, to get us all going today? Get our blood moving. We're fired up. We're fired up. Ready to go. And we ain't going back. No. Thank you, Ms. Edith Childs. Thank you, thank you. Welcome again to the Greenwood County Democratic Party breakfast meeting. My name is Bill Kimler. I am the chair, and it is an absolute honor to be able to stand in front of you and produce this breakfast meeting today. But first, I want to extend gratitudes to the ladies and gentlemen that showed up yesterday afternoon to help set up. So thank you to Gwen and Judith and Francis and James. They came out on their Friday afternoon to help get things organized. And to our breakfast club, we've got Jill and Francis, and Mamie and Joe brought the sandwiches. Extra special round of applause for them. We can't do this without the help of volunteers. We can't provide the breakfasts without your generous donations up at the front. So if you have a buck or two to spare, those sandwiches ain't cheap. And they're not getting any cheaper, but we want to be able to provide it to everybody who shows up, at least early enough while supplies last. Speaking of supplies lasting, I heard a complaint that we've been running out of coffee recently. The shame is all mine. Who could have expected we would have had so many coffee drinkers arrive every Saturday for our breakfast meeting? So we do have another major pot on order, but it didn't come in time. So in the meantime, if we do run out of coffee, I brought my personal Keurig machine and some K-cups that Jill will be happy to brew you something fresh should we run out. You must have your caffeine, ladies and gentlemen. That's what makes democracy fly. It does. For those of you who are new, and I would like by a show of hands, for who among you is this your first time at one of our breakfast meetings? Raise your hand. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Over 12 individuals. That's awesome. And if I had known Ishan was going to bring his entire extended family and friends, we would have him speak every month. So we thank you for helping boost our numbers. Also, for those who are new, we do have an extensive literature table on the right, lots of flyers, lots of information. Please grab them. It does me no good to hold on to them and carry them back to the headquarters. It belongs in your refrigerators. It belongs in your neighbor's hands. It does not belong in the trash. This is information that needs to get out. We also have some yard signs free for the taking in the far back. So grab some if you are so inclined. They are also meant to get out and be used in your personal lawns. Do not put them out in public thoroughways yet. It's not the time, but if it's your lawn, it's A-okay. Finally, restrooms to the left, feel free to use them at any time. So once again, thank you all for coming out. I just see so many friendly faces. It's good to be a Democrat. It is good to be a Democrat in this day and age. It really is. So we'll go over our agenda really briefly. I have a little change up. I'm going to give some opening comments about recent events, and then I'm going to open the floor for announcements. If you have some announcements to make about community events or things you think people should know, feel free to come on up. We don't have a working wireless system, so we do have a wired mic down here on the floor. If you're going to speak, I need to ask you to come up and speak because we are recording this and we want people at home to be able to hear the questions as well. So come on up, pose your question or make your announcement. And then we'll continue on, so that would be greatly appreciated. After that, we also have Ishan Lal, who's a return speaker. Where are you, Ishan? All right, thank you for coming back. We didn't scare you off. He has some more words to say. He was like only this high last time we saw him. Look how much he's grown. So it's great to have you back. Then we have all the way from Lexington, Mr. Mike Burgess. Where are you? Welcome, sir. Glad to have you here in Greenwood. Thank you for making the trip. I understand you're next door neighbors to Francie? Okay, good to know. And then I will provide and wrap up with some updates that are party specific, and then we'll have an open forum. So let's begin with some opening comments. Boy, it's been only 3 weeks since we last met. We literally met 3 weeks ago today, and it feels like we've had 3 decades worth of historical events occur. I'm exhausted. At the same time, I'm energized. What an interesting 3 week. This is going to be a whole chapter in the history books for our kids and grandkids. We had, believe it or not, when we last met, it wasn't until that afternoon that there was a shooting attempt made on Donald Trump. So we met just before that happened. And then since then, there was the Republican National Convention, which was the most bizarre thing I've ever laid my eyes on. As you can see, Hulkamania ran wild, so I'm sure that was a boost to their spirits. And then, of course, President Biden made an incredible announcement. And there were so many other things that happened, but first, let's just take a minute to appreciate President Biden, everything he's done for us these 3.5 years. Thank you, Mr. President, for the hard decision you made. I know the pressure was enormous. Some of it was certainly not warranted, but the appreciation for your legacy is not going to be lost, sir. I don't know that he's ever going to hear this, but I'm going to pretend like he is. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have not been dealt with an easy hand. You have had the most cantankerous Congress in the history of any president, and still, you were able to get more done than most presidents can do in 8 years. So for that, I thank him, and he will go down as one of our finest. But then, something else happened. The hostages came back, was amazing. So many things happened, but there was something that on the tip of my tongue I wanted to talk about. I can't quite remember. Oh, yes! We have a chance for our first female president of the United States. Oh. Wait a minute. Must have grabbed the wrong picture. There it is. You can see why we get those two confused. Ladies and gentlemen, Vice President Kamala Harris is now the presumptive nominee. She has all the delegates' votes at this point. They've already voted in her favor, and now it's just a matter of time before they make it official. So Vice President, soon to be President Kamala Harris, could not be more excited. How about you? And if you need a little refresher about Kamala Harris, we do have a couple of postcards at our literature table that is free for the taking with some of the highlights over her very storied career. But I think what I wanted to do, because I did reach out and invite Vice President Harris to speak with us today. She declined. She just didn't answer, to be quite honest, but that's okay. I know she's a busy woman, so what I'm going to do instead is turn it over to her for 5 minutes. I have an excerpt of her speech that you must see to get inspired and be just elated about our choice for president. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Harris, our Vice President.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. It is good to be back. Thank you all very much. Can we please hear it for Leah and her extraordinary story and leadership? And I do believe our teachers do God's work. They teach other people's children, and God knows we don't pay them enough. Let's thank Him. And it is good to be back in Wisconsin, and it is great to be in Milwaukee. And you all helped us win in 2020. And in 2024, we will win again. So, Milwaukee, I want to start by saying a few words, and I could really speak at length, but a few words about our incredible President Joe Biden. It has truly been one of the greatest honors of my life to serve as Vice President to our President Joe Biden. Joe's legacy of accomplishment over his entire career and over the past 3.5 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, think about it, in one term as president, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who served 2 terms in office. And I know we are all deeply, deeply grateful for his continuing service to our nation. And it is my great honor to have Joe Biden's endorsement in this race. So, Wisconsin, I am told as of this morning that we have earned the support of enough delegates to secure the Democratic nomination. And I am so very honored, and I pledge to you I will spend the coming weeks continuing to unite our party so that we are ready to win in November. So, friends, we have 105 days until Election Day, and in that time, we've got some work to do. But we're not afraid of hard work. We like hard work, don't we? And we will win this election. Yes, we will. So as Leah told you, before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was elected Attorney General of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. And in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. campaign, I promise you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
She doesn't need to give another speech for the rest of the year as far as I'm concerned. Let's make sure we got that name right. Can I hear a Kamala? Kamala. Man, it's going to be so great to see her someday. And I don't know that we're going to get any visits from the Harris campaign. We know she's got only 3 months and she has to focus on those swing states in order to win it. But I do want to play one more clip of just how the nation has been fired up over this change in nomination, just how excited they are. People who have never spoken before are speaking now. She raised $200 million in just 2 weeks, 65% from first-time donors. First-time donors. That's incredible. So I'm going to play a short, less than a minute clip of what I think was one of the finest reactions I've heard to her ascendancy.
I simply think we need to put this country on notice and say, since you want to play in our face, you're going to mess around and find out. I like that because God is good enough to make sure that folk mess around and find out. Biden was pressured into stepping down last Sunday after church, and then Biden pulled a fast one and said, all right, since I'm going to step down, I'm going to tap Kamala Harris to step up. And y'all, for a whole week, they've been messing around and finding out, because that night, black women got on a call with 44,000 black women, raised $1.5 million because America's gonna mess around and find out. Black men were encouraged, got on a call the next night, 53,000 registered, raised $1.3 million because the country's gonna mess around and find out. But y'all, black women started something, because the next thing I know, white women had a call, white men had a call, LGBTQIA had a call, because when they play in our faith, God says mess around and find out.
Now, I don't know who that gentleman is, but I'm going to have him at our next breakfast meeting. Oh man, he did not have a single misplaced word in that entire statement. But he said that's right. You know, everybody says Biden too old, Biden can't do this. They messed around and they found out. I saw the best tweet the other day. Yes, I'm still on that Twitter platform. I can't quit it. But the best tweet yesterday, somebody posted a clipping of Donald Trump on his Truth platform. And Donald Trump says, "Thank you, MAGA. We have raised $165 million in our campaign over the course of this cycle." He says, "Couldn't do it without you. This shows that we're going to win it." Kamala took it and retweeted that. And right above it, she says, "We raised $300 million in 2 weeks." They messed around. They're going to find out. All right, so we're going to take the attention off of the national stage. Again, we have handouts back there. Project 2025, which we spoke about last month. We have plenty of cards, hopefully still at the table. Anything that's left over, if you have a group, if you have a women's club, if you have an NAACP, if you have some organization that needs to know what's in that Project 2025, please grab a card. If there's not enough cards, let me know, and I'll make up a whole batch. I sit at my desk, print them all day long, all night long. That's info that has to get out. So please ask about that. We also had to update our Biden accomplishments cards, if you saw those last month, and I magically transformed them into Biden-Harris accomplishment cards because they did work together as a team. Remember, Kamala sat in on every meeting with the president. She is the best equipped, the best qualified. Donald Trump wouldn't sit at his own meetings. They had to have meetings without him because he couldn't be bothered. Kamala was right there with President Biden every step of the way, plus a card about Vice President Harris herself. So please grab those handouts and get them out to the community. Final word before we turn it over to our speakers and to the audience. The Democratic Convention is up in a few weeks, Monday, August 19th through Thursday, August 22nd. Tune in to all the major networks and watch. If you want to see something funny, just watch the Fox News broadcast, because they're going to watch something completely different than what you and I will be seeing. Sometimes it's funny to hear their spin on things, but otherwise all the major networks will have it. Not to mention, one of our own, right here from Greenwood, South Carolina, will be in attendance. Does everybody know who that is? Mr. Alan Moore, would you stand up and take a bow? He is our delegate to the convention. He's going to be our eyewitness. He's going to be in the front row. He's going to shake Kamala's hand as she makes her announcement. He's going to get up on stage and personally congratulate her, right? We're expecting all these things. But if for nothing else, to tune into our breakfast meeting next month, Alan will be here at the podium to share some firsthand observations, hopefully some pictures and videos of what it's like for this once-in-a-lifetime event. So Godspeed to you, Alan, and we wish you the best.